coast. While it all record, off record, I still want the act, not the ghost. Whoa.
Well, hello and welcome back to the DC UK podcast. This is season 4 and it is episode 21. And as always, I'm your host, James Graham. Well, it's good to be back. Benteke's arrived. We're back to winning ways. Life is good again. Oh, isn't it wonderful to say that we're back to winning ways? Oh, it's such a lovely feeling. Oh, Michael. Is this life real? Is this real life, I should say? Yes, it is. It's just beautiful. It's transfer deadline day over here in the UK and Europe and most of the world. And we're coming back off a lovely 2-1 win on the road. This is real life. Pinch yourself right now. Boom. Yes, it is real. Well, this is going to be an awesome episode. A couple of games to talk about since we've had that in the last 7 days. We've got other bits of news to go through. And, we've got a game to look forward to this weekend at Audi Field. So that should be all good in the hood. We've got lots of thoughts from you guys out there. I've been asking you after each game, which I'm going to continue doing because I love hearing what you guys thought about each match. So we've got those to go through. We've got this preview of that game this weekend. Look ahead at who's in that roster, the head-to-head as well, and then we've got some of your actual questions at the end of the show, which I did ask over on Instagram and over on Twitter, Facebook, and in the DC UK group as well. So if you do want to come and join us, head over to dcunitedkingdom.com/membership. And whilst you're on this live stream, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave the video a little like, and do the same on Facebook as well if you're watching there. Why not? Victor is asking to free Pulisic. Is that in reference to him leaving Chelsea? Maybe he's going to Major Leagues Soccer. Interesting. And anyway, but if you've got any comments about any of the games as we're going through the show, please do pop them in the chat. And if you've got any questions that you want me to answer at the end of the show, please do. Again, do the same thing, pop them in the chat. But we're going to start the show with our little trivia time. Each week, we're going to do a little trivia like we have done the last couple of weeks, and it's going to be about our upcoming opponents. So we've got Colorado Rapids this weekend. So this week's trivia time question is, which player scored their debut goal in the first ever game against Colorado Rapids that was played at Audi Field? Not the first ever game that we had against Colorado, but the first game that was at Audi Field. Have a little think on that one. If you've got any ideas, please do hit them up in the chat. I want to see what you guys are thinking straight away on this one. If you've not, have a little think, and we'll come back to it at the end where we will reveal this week's trivia time answer. But before we get all the way to the end of this show, let's start off with a bit of news. So I'm going to look over to my little show notes and have a little look at the news from the last week, because it's been a fairly action-packed the last 7 days, I want to say. So Moses Nyman has left the club. He's completed his move to SK Beveren. You might have heard, if you were listening to the episode last week, that it was rumoured, but now that has actually happened. So that is $350,000 transfer fee with a sell-on clause as well. So good luck to him. It's sad to see him go a little bit, but for whatever reason, it's seemed that his development will be best placed abroad. So we shall see how he gets on over there. We do have someone in DCUK who is in Belgium, so we'll be hoping to keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll be getting some updates, not on just Nyman, but also on Griffin Yao as well. Other things that we've done, I mean, obviously, Benteke, as I said at the start of the episode, made his debut finally. Um, we've signed two homegrown players in Christian Fletcher and Matai Akinmobile. It's a name I will get right eventually. But Christian Fletcher actually trained with Man United and Borussia Dortmund. Um, so there's that. So obviously he's a hot prospect. And Matai is actually the second youngest ever signing for DC United, with only Freddie Adu, who was younger. So that's a good little record for him there, being the second youngest. So hopefully he comes in and has a great future ahead of him. I've been keeping an eye on his progress over on Instagram. He's had trials over with Bayern Munich over in Germany, and yeah, he looks a great little kid, little player. Very happy to see him sign a homegrown contract alongside Christian Fletcher as well. A weird one in the last 7 days. Disney Plus. Not something you'd expect to hear on this podcast, but Disney Plus have picked up the Wagatha Christie trial, the defamation trial between Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy. I know it's not really DC United related, but it is Wayne Rooney related, so I thought I had to mention it. If you don't know much about it, go and look it up, and you probably do, because it's been in the news quite a bit. If you're in the UK, you wouldn't have got away from it. But for you guys over in the USA and elsewhere, basically, Colleen Rooney decided to share some Instagram stories, I think it was, and share them with specific people, and to see what stories will get leaked out in the press. One she apparently shared to Rebecca Vardy went out into tabloid newspapers over here, and she called Rebecca Vardy out for it. And that led to Rebecca Vardy suing her basically for defamation, and she lost. So Colleen Rooney won that one, and Rebecca Vardy didn't look so good at the end of it. So yeah, Disney Plus have obviously seen that could be a good drama, I reckon. Probably could be a documentary, a docudrama. So we'll see when that comes out, but keep your eyes out for that one, because Rooney did have to go up on the stand in that one. Other bits, we finally scored. Unreal. Scored 4 goals in the last 2 games, and as of today, a little article came out from Charles Boehm on MLSsoccer.com around Wayne Rooney's youth revolution. Great little read, very much worth going on the website and having a look. Or if you just go onto Charles Boehm's Twitter page, he's tweeted it out on there, and yeah, go and have a look. It is awesome. Great insight into what Rooney's doing and what he did at Derby County with the youth over there, because, well, he didn't have much choice, shall we say. So yeah, go and have a little read on that one. I enjoyed having a little read earlier on before going live, because it came out I saw it about an hour and a half before, about 90 minutes ago, 2 hours ago. So yeah, there you go. So that's pretty much it for the news. I said it was action packed. It was more towards the game. So what we'll do is we'll have a little chat about the games. So first up, we played Atlanta United on Sunday evening. And I can actually say Sunday evening because it was evening over here, not in the early hours of the morning, which is awesome. 9 p.m. kickoff for me over here. So I was able to watch it. I was up in the northeast of England with my family, back in the hotel for that one. But, it's managed to watch it. First half, pretty dry, but the second half was where it all properly kicked off. Very entertaining second half. But to give you a little rundown of the stats, as I always do, unfortunately, we did get beat 3-2. Possession-wise, it's 59.1 to Atlanta to our 40.9. Atlanta had 25 shots, which blew my mind a little bit. We had 10 shots. They had 9 on target to our 3. They had 1 offside to our 3. Fouls 12 to 10, bit even there. And the expected goals was 2.1 to 1.1. So on that side, on paper, probably the right result, but we looked okay, better than we have done recently. The fact that we actually managed to score some goals. So as I said, it was quite first half. Not a lot happened for us. There was only one sort of 5-minute period where we had more possession than they did. Other than that, it was either very close or Atlanta were dominating. It's not particularly brilliant from that side, from that aspect, but again, away from home, not playing on actual grass or anything. So, in a stadium which is quite intimidating because it's got some great atmosphere. You look at what their attendance is like. You hear the noise. It's a great stadium to go to. I would love to visit in real life, but from the looks of it and how everything is, it looks really good. But we did open the scoring in the second half in the 47th minute, thanks to a beautiful Ravel Morrison goal. Oh, absolute peach on the volley. Outside the box, what a way to get your first goal. The commentary on that one was actually really good as well. So, enjoyed watching that goal. I did a little shout as well. Little lad was sleeping in the room next door, and my wife did tell me off a little bit for that one. So, but no, it was a great goal. Absolutely fantastic. Annoyingly though, Atlanta scored immediately after. Alan Franco of Atlanta getting his first goal for the club. Just poor defending. Absolute poor defending. Victor, the commentary of that game overall was terrible. I mean, 100%. It was horrendous commentary. I mean, the goal commentary was all right, but they were coming out with some absolute weird comments, like talking about different sports and things. I was like, am I watching a DC United game or what am I watching? Yeah, very, very strange. Great comment, Victor. Great comment. So poor defending on the first goal, but we then retook the lead again, thanks to Ola Kamara. Nahar on the right hand side passes it back to Chris Durkin, who whips that ball in from the right. Kamara nods it into the corner. Great goal. Wonderful to see Durkin get an assist there. Not for the first time in the season, if I remember rightly. And yeah, enjoyed that goal. Can't argue with it. Well worked. But then again, our defensive woes came to bite us, especially on the set piece again. Something that has been, since the Lasada era, has been a real weak spot for us, which from the previous regime, it never used to be. We used to be really good at defending set pieces, but now it seems to be a very weak spot. Joseph Martinez, free. Free header in the box. One of the best finishers in the game, in the league, I should say. Not in the game, in the league. And you give him free reign in that box is just terrible. No other word for it. Just terrible. Nobody marking him. Don't know who was meant to mark him. Couldn't see anyone near him. So yeah, that was frustrating. And then they go and score in the 70th minute, I think it was, thanks to Parata. Yeah. So, like I said, it was a much better game compared to the previous few games. But defensively, there was work to be done. And after a couple of days after, I tweeted out about asking for your thoughts, any questions, and anything that you wanted to say about the game. And there was a few people who did come in. As Daniel, who was a member of DC UK, and you will know him from being on the show. His thoughts were, a good thing is that there's still plenty of grit in the team, and they don't seem to be drifting apart on a personal level. I like that. And then a bad thing is that some players might just need a new environment, and this team will need a couple of years to get a fresh squad that can make a run. So, as you know, if you're a long-time listener, Daniel's a bit pessimistic about the team. Always has been. Sorry, Daniel. Um, to be fair, there was a time last year when he did get that bit of optimism, but there's reason to be pessimistic. Obviously, the way the season's gone, there hasn't been much hopes for optimism on this one, but a couple of years, yeah, maybe. I can understand where you're coming from on that one. Alex, who's from down under, lives in Australia. Only gets to watch the highlights, but he enjoyed that it was an Englishman who scored in Ravel Morrison. This comment a little bit too early, saying that he doesn't think Wen knows how to win yet, which is not good. But we'll come on to that in the next game. I love the fact that it was Ravel Morrison scoring. When I heard that he was coming to sign for us, I was a little bit disappointed, a little bit annoyed because of his past. But you know what? So far, he's kept quiet. He's kept quiet off the pitch, done good things on the pitch, and I'm going to eat my hat so far. I've enjoyed seeing him play. And then Richard, who's also a member of DC UK, he says, "What went well? Scored twice. What didn't go so well? Still can't defend set pieces." So yeah, there's that. But again, if you guys have got anything to say on that, please do let me know. So I'll enjoy reading them. If I can't comment on them whilst I'm on the podcast, I enjoy it. Victor, I love that comment. Wayne doesn't know how to win. Just forgetting his Man United career now, eh? Yeah, I think it's more just his time in DC that Alex was on about there, because he hadn't won until this week. Of course he knows how to win on the pitch. It's just finding his ways off the pitch, on the sidelines. Which was it this game that he got booked in? He got yellow carded. I think it was where. Yes, it was. There was a foul on the far side of the pitch. The linesman gave it, but the referee decided to overrule him, and he got a yellow card, and he swore at the fourth official, which led to a yellow card. I believe that was this game. I could be getting mixed up with the last game. Who knows? But yes, so that was that one. Moving on to the game in the midweek, which we played New York City FC. What a game this was. Enjoyed watching the highlights. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch this one live, but the highlights were fantastic. A win's always watches better than a defeat. But again, stats on this one. Score 2-1 to DC United. Possession wise, they had 61.1 to our 38.9, so really didn't have much of the ball in this one. Shots 10-6. On target 3-5. So we were good. Getting the ball on target when we had the opportunity. Only one offside apiece. Fouls 10-19. So we gave away quite a lot more, which didn't come across in the highlights. I will have to say that. Expected goals 0.4 to 1.2. So the result on paper definitely good for us. So I said I didn't watch this one live, but from what I watched on the highlights, both on the 4-minute one and then the 7-minute one, it showed a lot of positivity for us, I thought. There was quite a few chances for New York, especially towards the end of the game when they were pushing to get that equaliser. But it was good to see that we were actually just consistent, just positive throughout. Even when we conceded the goal again after we scored, we continued going forward. So that was good. Nahar started on the left, which is the first time he's done that for quite some time. He did it a couple of times last year, from what I remember. But I think this is the first time he's done it this season. First DC's win for the first time in Rooney's reign, so that was good. But it was also our first win on the road against New York City, and it was at the Red Bull Arena, which is kind of a 2-for-1. I want to say, beating New York City in a Red Bull's arena sounds quite nice, doesn't it? I like that. Taking 2-for-1. Fletcher and Benteke made their debut. So Christian Fletcher obviously signed his homegrown contract just a matter of yesterday, the day before, and thrown straight in. Matai was on the bench as well, so that was great. So three players potentially could have made that debut. Matai just didn't get that opportunity, which is fine. He's only 15. You don't want to throw him on if you don't need to. That's a lot of pressure on the kid. I mean, Fletcher's only 17, so again, pressure on him. But he played for the last 5 minutes, I think it was. Plenty of yellow cards in this one, 3 apiece. We saw those in the highlights as well. It looked like New York City were tackling quite hard. I can't remember if I saw any DC yellow cards in the highlights. I think there might be one, which was just a cynical foul, tactical one. Fullbacks seem to play up quite high. So Nahar on the left, Chris Shadui, Achdam on the right. When I looked at the pass and breakdown, the average positions were pretty much by the halfway line, which shows that we were really attacking and taking the game to New York, which is awesome. That's the kind of thing I want to see. Our fullbacks getting forwards. When I looked on the lineups, it looked like we were playing a 4-4-2. Correct me if that's wrong. If we were playing the 4-2-3-1, but MLSsoccer.com had it down as a 4-4-2. Durkin making an assist in back-to-back games to Kamara in back-to-back games. So that's awesome. That's great. Loved seeing that. Again, Durkin on the right, getting the cross in. Kamara with that lovely tap in. Right place, right time. Not offside. Well worked goal. Loved that. Then the second goal, Birnbaum. Great cross in on the free kick from Rodriguez. I have to say that was rather poor keeping from Sean Johnson, but we'll take it. We're gonna take it. It was good. It was a powerful header. Don't get me wrong, but Johnson should have saved that. He let that squirm through. Birnbaum was unmarked. It was a goal from a set piece on the attack for us. I enjoyed it. Good goal. Can't argue with that one. Ochoa played well again, making some great saves, especially towards the end of the game. There was an effort from range. I'm trying to remember who had it. I think it might have been Talis Magno or Zelalem. But it was curling effort going into the top corner, and he managed to get across and claw it wide for a corner. Great save. He is definitely one I've been impressed with so far in the few games that he's played. Great reactions, great shot stopper. Enjoying him. 21 years old. He's got a great future ahead of him. Hopefully that's at DC United as well. In the post-match press conference, Rooney's take on the game, which was, if you take the result out of it, it's the best performance we've had since he's been there. And that's great. I didn't even get to watch it, and I didn't see that. A little bit annoying, but it was I had work today. I can't always stay up that late. It's going to be a tricky one for this weekend when I get onto that one. But yeah. Otherwise, Jason Anderson, good guy. Really enjoy reading his stuff and listen to what he's got to say. Tweets out about the longer take on that comment, which was him saying, yeah, it's quite strange when you come in the middle of a season and I didn't feel the players were fit enough to play the way I wanted to play. So I don't know what, under the previous coach, Anna Lasada, I don't know what they were doing. But one thing's for sure, the players were mentally tired. So just giving them players the ability to believe that we can actually get that fit. Like Chris, we of course have to be careful with his history. So we're trying to get him to a position where, like tonight, he played 90 minutes. And if you look at the difference in Andy from 4 weeks ago, he's still making runs in the 90th minute to go forward. So it's just the way we train them. The rest we give them time to recover physically and mentally. It's good, and he's pleased with how the plays have been working. Training, not overworking them, not grinding them down to the ground. And it's interesting that he's actually called out Ernan on that one. saying the players are mentally tired, which when you read some of the things that came out after Hernan left, it's no real surprise. Um, and some of the things when I had plays on last season, like Griffin, about what was going on and the regimen and the diet that they were under. It was very, looking back on it, hindsight was obviously a wonderful thing, but it did seem quite military, quite regimented and very strict. So yeah, that is going to take your toll, especially mentally. But yeah, there was that. And again, I did tweet out scheduled because I wasn't awake, but I did preempt this. Did ask again for thoughts and any questions you had about the game last night. Um, which, if you're listening to the show afterwards, it was on Wednesday night. It's Thursday today, yeah, Wednesday night. So Richard is again a member of DCK. Despite being a heavily rotated team, there was no drop off in regards to the game plan and the intensity. I think the team is in a better place both physically and mentally than at any other time this season. His second thought in the game was Rooney's all in on playing the kids, given Fletcher's debut. He goes on to say that Christian Benteke has come to play and his talent is going to shine through. Can't wait to see him with Taxi. And finally, he hopes that DC United are able to re-sign David Ochoa because obviously David's contract does run out at the end of the season. Moving on to the next one, which is from Brian, again, a member of DC UK. He's finally happy that we've won a match. I think that goes without saying for everyone around. We're all very, very happy that we finally won a game. It's been way too long. Also, finally beating NYCFC on the road was awesome. Can't wait for Sunday. Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to Sunday now. It's going to be fantastic. And if you do want to come and join us at DC UK, do, as mentioned, go to dcunitedkingdom.com/membership. You should see the link in the description. Maria saying that it was a more complete game. Key was to hold the lead after the second goal. And after the initial push, DC was pressing hard for a third. Fantastic. It's always good to get that lead extended, give yourself that little bit of a buffer. And then Mark Nahar had his best game in some time while starting on the left rather than the right. I think, again, from what I saw on the replays, on the highlights, it looked like he was doing some good stuff, made that run down the left for when he got fouled and got the free kick, which led to outside goal. Yeah, awesome. Seems to be a word that I'm repeating quite a lot this evening. Awesome. But it is. It's awesome. So yeah, loved it. Can't argue with it. It's good to get 3 points on the road, especially against a team that we've traditionally not done well at all on the road against. I'm very happy about the way it came across. I'm very happy that you guys are happy, and there's slight optimism maybe for the rest of the season. Get some more points, get some more wins, get some more goals. You never know. Fingers are crossed, toes are crossed. I'm not going to say what else is crossed because I might have to bleep that out. But yeah, moving on to the game this weekend. We are playing Colorado Rapids. Head-to-head wise, I should say. It's on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. kickoff Eastern time, which means it's a 12:30 a.m. kickoff time over here on Monday morning. So if I do end up staying up for that one, that means I don't get much sleep for work the next day. Decisions have to be made on that one. It's going to be a late call, whether I stay up or not on that one. But if I do, and for anyone else who's in the UK, it is live on Premier Sports 1. Otherwise, it's on standard broadcasting in the US on NBC, Sports Washington, on DCUnited.com, and Telexitos, or Telexitos. Is Telexitos? I think so. Anyway, head-to-head wise, we've won 22 times. Colorado have won 14 times, and there's been 10 draws. So we generally do well against Colorado, especially recently. I know they won the last game 2-1 at Audi Field, but generally speaking, we tend to either draw or win in this game in recent times anyway. Uh, we won, obviously, our first game against New York City to end a 4-game losing streak. And it was also the fewest shots in a match while scoring multiple goals for the first time since a 2-1 win over Orlando in March 2019. So that's what you call efficiency. Colorado have conceded 10 goals in the last 2 away games. They conceded 6 against Philly and 4 against Nashville. So not particularly great. A bit similar to our recent records. Ola Kamara scored his 83rd goal in MLS. And since his debut season back in 2016, only 2 players have scored more than 70 regular season goals. Joseph Martinez and Bradley Wright Phillips. And when you got to think about, obviously, Kamara's had a bit of time outside of MLS as well, it's a pretty good record. Obviously, he had a great season last season, scoring 19 goals, almost being Golden Boot winner. And he's got a few so far this season, so he's doing well. Still getting there. Just going back to the comment about me staying up on soccer is greater than work unless it's brain surgery the next day. Yeah, I'd have to have a look at my work calendar to see what's happening. And by the way, I am not a brain surgeon. Just to clarify that, I don't do brain surgery, but it feels like my brain gets operated on with some of the things I have to do. DC, we've scored 75 times against Colorado and conceded 59 times. So we're ahead on that one, which is great. And recent form for Colorado, they've not won in their last 5 matches. So they're on a bit of a downturn as it stands. And already, we've already got the referee for this weekend, who is Tori Penso. She previously refereed for us in one of our games earlier on in the season against Austin FC, where she sent off Ola Kamara. I'm struggling to think back to that game and what that performance was like, but it's great seeing female referees. Happy about that. There needs to be more of it, and we'll see how she does. Not much more to it on that one, unless you've got any comments on that one. If you feel like she's not the greatest referee, just like pretty much most of the referees in MLS who are not that great, or is she a good referee? She is new, so records are a little bit hit and miss onto that one, but yeah. Colorado wise, I look at their roster and reveals that they don't really spend a lot on designated players or any other type of players, really, just general, because they've only got one DP and Jesse Zardes, who I'm sure you all know. Bit of a surprise that they moved to Colorado, to be fair. I was a little bit shocked on that one, but yeah, there you go. They've got 2 in the under 22 initiative in Lucas Estevez and a guy called Max. Estevez is a defender, Max is a midfielder. And they do have 1 generation Adidas player in Philip Mayaka, who's a midfielder. So, yeah, there is that. I would love to know what you guys think about that. And whilst I'm having a little think and talk, what do you guys think the score will be this weekend? I've seen, obviously, in different places, people have got quite a lot of different opinions. A lot more positive than there has been recently. If you're watching live, please do put your score predictions in the chat. If you're listening to the game, listen to the podcast before the game, do tweet me your score prediction. Love to know what you're thinking. It's a tricky one for this one, because we've had that victory in midweek, but we've got to remember it is the one victory. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much, but it does feel like we've turned a corner. We scored 2 goals against Atlanta, and we scored another 2 goals against New York City. both away from home as well, so which is always much more difficult to do. Um, yes, we've conceded goals again, but Ochoa between the sticks is looking great. I'm super pleased about that. Squad's looking a lot stronger. Yes, we've still got Heinz Ike and Brad Smith out injured, but Nahar on the left, COA on the right. Um, Birnbaum's starting to pick up a little bit of form because he's had his ups and downs, let's put it that way. Midfield's looking strong. Attacking line, now that we got Benteke, looking great. Very pleased about that. Saw one of his attempts on goal against New York City, which was on target after being knocked down. Picked himself back up, picked up the ball, had a go. Normally, players who come from European football or South America would have just rolled around on the ground. But he picked himself back up and, carried on and took a go at it. So, yeah. In terms of predictions wise, for me, looking at Colorado's form, that especially on the road, the fact that they've conceded quite a lot recently, they've not really scored a huge amount recently. I want to be positive. I'm going to say 2-0. Going to go 2-0 win. I think that's a fair reflection on how we've improved recently. I think it's a fair reflection on Colorado's form recently. And we're back home. We'll have the fans behind us after a win, hopefully. Hopefully we'll be quite loud. So we'll get all corners of the stadium chanting away, joining in with the Chico stand. My mind went blank there for a moment. So again, this is me calling out to all the fans who are going to be at the game this weekend to really get behind the team, get chanting, doesn't matter where you are, just get going. Don't worry about if you think you're going to look stupid or anything. Just keep it going because it really does affect the players on the pitch. When they start hearing the chants going, it does take them up a level. They might say that they don't hear it or anything. They're completely focused and things like that. But yeah, genuinely, it really does take things up a notch. So please do get behind the fans, behind the players. So yeah, so for me, I'm going to go with the 2-0 win this weekend. Clean sheet, couple of goals, bit of entertainment, and hopefully a loud atmosphere. So let's move on to some fan questions. So we had a few sent in. Thanks to you guys out there, Brian, Eric, Victor, who's obviously been in the chat, and Richard as well. So your questions, I'm just going to double check to see if I had any further ones before I move on. But I've got them going to come up on the screen, so bear with. So Richard asked, not Richard, he's not first, but he's up on screen now. So Richard asked, does Russell Canauz have a role going forward with DC United? Now, I said this was a good question in the DC UK chat. And it is a good question. And I do believe he does have a role with the club moving forwards. It might not be consistently starting anymore, but he certainly does. Yes, we've got Ravel Morrison, Chris Durkin, Victor Paulson, obviously Russell, Ted. Who else we got in the centre midfield? Is it just those 5? I feel like I'm missing someone. Oh no, we did have Moses, but now he's gone. So 5 players potentially going for 2, maybe 3 positions. It's going to be tricky. There's going to need rotation, and what you're going to remember, it's a long old season in MLS. There's usually a fixture pile up somewhere during the year, once or twice. So yeah, he's absolutely got a role with DC United. I wouldn't want him to go. He's usually one of those players who is dependable when he is fit. There is a question about his fitness. Thank you, Victor. Jafal was the other player I was missing. So 6 players going for 2 to 3 positions. Yeah, interesting. Um, I just want to say, Victor, I think Hopkins is more of a winger rather than a central midfielder. Um, but if you thinking that he's going to be, that does mean it's a little bit tougher. But again, my point still stands. I think Canauz definitely has a role. Like I said, fixture pilot, so you're going to need that rotation. But you can't predict injuries. You don't want to be in a position where we were a couple of years ago when we had 15, 16 injuries and barely filling a lineup. So yeah, absolutely. It's for me, he's one, like I said, one of those guys who is dependable. Just needs to keep fit. Because I don't think he's really had a season where he's been able to play consistently throughout the year. Um, so again, thank you, Richard, for sending that question in. Next up, it's Brian, who asks, how many new starting players do you think we will need next season? And what's the most important one for the club's success? Um, I'm going to say I'm going to go with the most important one, which is a big central defender. Um, that's the most important one going forward. That what we need. You look at the way our backline has been recently. It's been very leaky, very unlike DC. Especially going back to the Ben Olsen area where we were always really tough to play against, tough to grind down. Yes, we didn't really score, but you could always think we'd maybe lose by, if we are going to lose by one goal. Usually, it was one that often that we'd lose by more than one. So yeah, for me, the back line, I think that's central defenders what we need. Potentially left back as well. How many new starting players? Um, so like I said, centre back, I would say a left back. Um, and I would say potentially one midfielder. Strikers wise, starting, the fact that we got Taxi and Benteke, those would be my two starting strikers. But for me, we're probably lacking that real big creative player. Yes, we got Ravel, but he's been playing more defensively, and we don't really have that attacking spark that I would like to see that we see in other teams. So there's that one. So I would say 3 starting players, and the centre back is the most important for me. So there's that. Thank you for that one, Brian. That was a really great question. Eric, there's a bit of a two-parter to this one, so I could only fit one bit on the screen at once. So first part is, how do you see Hopkins and Fletcher fitting in with Taxi, Benteke, Berry, Kamara, etc.? Hopkins, I think, has been playing quite a lot, to be fair. He's not started 2 of the games that Rooney's been in charge, and he came on as sub in those 2 games. So, I mean, I'm taking that from the Charles Baum article that I mentioned earlier on in the show. But yeah, I see Hopkins continuing down the right-hand side. I mean, we've seen Durkin be more of a winger rather than a central midfielder, but yeah, absolutely being down on the right-hand side. I can see him working quite well. Fletcher, I think it's going to be a little bit of time before we see him regularly. Let's put it that way. He's certainly going to be bench, if not more time with Loudon. But really excited to see him come on and get some time, especially with getting that experience from Benteke, who's been there, done that, and from Rooney as well. I mean, what a time to come into the club when you've got a, a, a Premier League striker who's come in, who scored over 80 goals in the Premier League, to a coach who's been there, done that, worn the t-shirt many times, won a huge amount of trophies at club level, both on the domestic stage and the international stage at club level. Unbelievable. So he should really take this opportunity with both hands and really strive to get that experience and become a much better player. So I see them fitting in quite well. But I see Hopkins more of a starter. I see Fletcher being someone who will get that time more with Loudon, but absolutely with coming in off the bench. Other questions. What second part for Eric says, what's the plan to continue if I can get my words out, continue their development alongside 2023 or bust? As I just said, I think it's more Hopkins will get a lot of game time. I see Fletcher being more getting sort of 20 minutes at most in the game, coming in off the bench, but playing a lot with Loudoun United. That's how I see 2023 going for them too, particular. Matai, definitely a lot with Loudon, the odd occasion, probably more US Open Cup game time, I would say, with those guys. So just take a quick little drink there. So thank you, Eric, for that. Great questions about our youth. Victor, I've definitely not missed your question here. Is Benteke a worse finisher than Kamara? No. Moving on. Sorry. No, genuinely. I mean, it's difficult to tell because we've not seen them do it in the same league yet against the same players. But genuinely, I think Benteke is a great finisher, especially when he gets the supply. You look at him and you look at. Now you just look at Benteke's record; it speaks for itself, especially Premier League. Kamara done great stuff in MLS. Didn't really do anything in China, but he's good in MLS. I see Benteke scoring a lot in MLS. I think he's going to really enjoy playing this league for his size and the strength, his hold-up play. He should be able to get quite a few sort of turning shots and turn them into goals. I think we'll see quite a bit from him. Definitely going to be a target man, that's for certain. Thank you, Harish, for coming in on the chat. Coming in and asking which positions do you want us to sign new marquee players for the next season? He's saying that you'd want to see a marquee centre back signing and a new right back, left back, depending on where Naha plays. As I mentioned about a few minutes ago with Brian's question, I'd totally agree with that. I want to see a new centre back sign. I think that's the most important one for us moving into 2023. Marquee signing? Would it be a marquee signing? It's not a fashionable move. Let's put it that way. But I think it's something that we might need to see a lot more in MLS if they want to be a more competitive league. Because it's not always about goals, but you do need to grind out results, and you need a good defense to do that. So, yeah, marquee centre back signing and new right back or left back. Yeah, I think I'd prefer left back because Nahar's a right-footed player, and I think he does more on that side. But yeah, I'm just going to ignore what Victor's just saying in the chat. He's just saying, just play Pines. If he was a little bit better, yes. But I'm certainly going to ignore the next one, which is hashtag Phil Jones in. Yeah, no. Just no. Absolutely no. Phil Jones, no. I don't need to explain about the memes and his lack of game time over the last few years. I mean, if you look back when he was like 21, 22, and especially when he was coming up at Blackburn Rovers, yes, I would have taken him then. But unfortunately, injuries have got the better of him. He's not played a lot. He does need to get that game time, and the only way he's going to get it is by playing. I'm down myself now. Would I take him in the off season so he gets that pre-season under his belt? If it doesn't cost a lot of money, he can't. If we do it, and that happens, he can't be a DB. He genuinely can't be a DB. Because with his injury record, I'll take him on loan for 6 months. See how he adapts and see how he goes, because it's a bit of a win-win. He gets the game time. We get potentially a good defender for, yes, it would only be 6 months, but it wouldn't cost us a lot of money. Oh, I hate you, Victor. I hate you for making me think about that. But yes, there we go. That is about it for the fan questions. So thank you guys for sending those in. Thank you, Harish and Victor, for popping up in the chat there with some great questions and comments as well. But it is now time to wrap up the show. So if you remember, if you weren't here at the start of the show and you are tuning in a little bit later, the question was, which player scored their debut goal in the first ever game against Colorado Rapids at Audi Field? Well, the answer to that question, Victor got it right. It is Wayne Rooney. That was his debut. I said debut goal. It wasn't his debut. It was his first goal. I got that a little bit wrong, so I apologize about that. But he scored his first goal in the first ever game that Colorado Rapids played at Audi Field. I really am not getting my words out right tonight. I do apologize. I really need to work on that. I love that. Victor, it was a joke. I mean, you say it was a joke. There's a little bit about you that wants him in the team, isn't there? Admit it. Come on. You do want him in there. But, it could... But yes, Alex, always late to the show. I mean, we've got to work on this time zone, haven't we? We've got to work on these times. Alex, over in Australia, you just need to rewind, because I did answer your... I did make a comment about what you said. Which game was it? Was it the Atlanta game that you... yes, it was the Atlanta game. So do go and rewind back to that so you can hear what I said about that. But that is, unfortunately, the end of the show. But yes, good morning to you, Alex, over in Adelaide. Thank you to everyone who's been up in the chats. Thank you to everyone who's listened to the show. This is the 98th episode of the DC UK podcast. Do come and join us in the support group. It is fantastic, especially on game days. We get to see where everyone is in the stadium. There's some meetups between the guys. So do come and join us. It's at dcunitedkingdom.com/membership. You'll see the link in the description alongside all the other links, whether it is if you want to come and support us in terms of buying merchandise. There's the Cherry Blossom shirts, which you can see in the background if you're watching on YouTube. Just leave comments, leave a like, subscribe to the podcast. Everything helps the show out. It's always a welcome to come and do this for you guys. I enjoy the fact that you do listen in. Stay tuned for the 100th episode. I'm planning on doing something pretty big for it. So that's going to be in 2 or 3 weeks' time. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears peeled as well. But as always, until next time, not much United.
Swelling on record, off record, I still want the act, not the ghost.